Let's talk tech and welcome to this review of the NearHub EC20 chair.
Bruce, that's a box, not a chair.
Ah, sorry about that, Keith. You're right. You're right. That wasn't the chair. This is the EC20 chair we are reviewing today. I just hadn't assembled it yet. So let's go ahead and jump back for me into the studio and talk about this chair.
Okay, yeah, now that is a chair. All right, so now I have to ask the question, the elephant in the room. Why are we reviewing a chair on our tech channel?
Okay, cutting straight to the chase. I like it. Well, as you know, many people spend lots of time working, gaming, or even lounging at their computers and work areas.
Okay, yeah, I see your point. I mean, if you're going to spend so much time in a chair day in and day out, why not be comfortable? And in addition to that, have a chair that supports good posture, right? I certainly appreciate that as someone who's had a bad back for much of his life. I probably will always have a bad back for the rest of my life. Yeah, I can appreciate that. A chair that doesn't hurt you is such a good thing.
Exactly, Keith. Now, before we jump into our thoughts on the chair, we do want to let you know we were contacted by NearHub about reviewing the EC20.
Yeah, that is correct. In fact, I'm sitting in that chair right now. Now, they did send us each chair to try out for this review. And I will say we are not being paid any money for this, neither one of us. So the opinions that we're going to give you are ours. We're free to do that.
Lastly, we do get to keep the chairs following the review. NearHub is actually a sister company of NearStream, and we had a very positive interaction with NearStream, which is what led NearHub to reach out to us.
Okay, so let's address the second elephant in the room. For those of you who know me, know that I tend to be opinionated about branding. We reviewed at one point another chair called the Secret Labs chair, and I kind of I kind of made fun of the name Secret Labs. Now, Near Hub, Near Stream, I kind of like that branding scheme. There's a cohesive tying element across it. It's all right. But what about EC20? What do you think they were trying to get at with this EC20 name?
Keith, that's a question I really hadn't thought of, but off the top of my head, I don't know, maybe excellent chair. And maybe it was designed in the year 2020, or maybe it's the 20th revision of the design.
Well, yeah, I guess I could buy that. But while you were guessing, I looked it up on my iPhone real quick, and they can tell you it stands for ergonomic chair. The EC does. The 20, I don't know. But uh, with that, let's just start in with how the chair arrived. Let's talk about that.
Well, that works for me. So I thought the parts were well packed, and there were several cardboard separator pieces included to protect the parts from shipping damage.
Yeah, I agree for the most part, although I was not as impressed, I guess, as you sound like you were. I mean, I'm not saying that the packaging was as sloppy as like Tommy Boy coming home from college and packing all of his clothes up in a trash bag or something. Not that bad, okay, but it did feel a little haphazard, and the exterior of the cardboard box that it shipped in had a protrusion where one of the heavy metal structures from inside the chair was starting to punch out. So I feel like it could have been better, but yeah, for the most part, I agree. It was nothing in my shipment was damaged, so that's testament to that the packaging did work and served its purpose. So why don't you talk about your thoughts about the assembly process? How do you feel about that?
Well, as you and I discussed, Keith, I did struggle a little bit maybe with the instructions. And it's small things, right? Like I thought the instruction sheet could have had larger illustrations where you could see more of the detail. And then, there were items, like the armrests, for example. Both armrests on the bottom in the molding did have a left and right marker on there, which is great. But nowhere on the bottom of the chair did it have, a sticker or something molded into it. A sticker would probably be a good fix, showing which was the left and the right side. As well, there was, just little things like that I think could have made the instructions a little bit more clear, like the front and the back of the seat itself. So, again, I think some removable stickers could probably help people along a little bit on that front.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We were talking about this before the show about the left and the right labeling of the arms, but the seat cushion and specifically the control assembly for if I demo this on the chair, these control for the lift and the tilt and everything. Those have to be assembled together, and it's not clear which is the front and which is the back, honestly, on either the cushion or the control assembly. So I didn't make that mistake, but I think I was a little bit lucky. I could easily see how you made that mistake, and you're right. A simple sticker would be a very cost-effective way to eliminate the possibility or reduce the possibility of someone else making that mistake. And I don't know, you probably wasted 8 or 9 minutes unassembling it and putting it back together again.
Absolutely. Now, this isn't to say that the assembly was hard, but a couple small tweaks to the instructions, such as larger illustrations for more detail, as well as some stickers, would streamline it quite a bit. I bet someone could put this chair together in 20 minutes or less, in with some small tweaks. It took me about 34 minutes to unbox and assemble, which in the grand scheme of things isn't horrible.
Yeah, Bruce, my assembly process experience was pretty similar to yours. It wasn't that hard. It took, I don't, it was 20 or 30 minutes. I don't remember exactly, but it was pretty easy. I will also echo your sentiment that the assembly instructions seemed a little bit haphazard and inaccurate. Not so bad that you would actually make a mistake, but like, for example, they shipped a blister pack to organize all of the different bolts that you would use, and the assembly instructions would call out for one of the steps an M6 star 30 type bolt to use. But then you look at the blister pack, and there is no M6 30. There's an M6 25. You kind of figure out exactly which ones need to be used, and it does fit. So it's just the kind of thing that it shows a little bit of carelessness in the product documentation, and the assembly instructions could be better. Also, there were the graphics of the images of the chair that were used during the assembly instructions weren't even exactly the same chair. There were additional parts, additional fabric panels in different locations, and the blister pack had extra bolts in it. So with those things missing and extra bolts, the first thing I thought was, "What did I not get everything that was supposed to be in the box?" But I think I did. But somebody in the world is getting different versions of this chair was kind of the impression I got, and that they could be more careful with the product documentation.
Okay, good stuff, Keith. So let's talk about the quality and value here. I think many of the parts are very high quality, and some of the trim details maybe not quite as much.
Yeah, so talking about the quality, the first thing I noticed when I was assembling this was the casters and the leg assemblies, kind of step one. And looking at the casters specifically, it has a nice rubberized kind of outer surface that rolls nicely and silently against a wood floor, like I have here, which is nice. But the caster wheels themselves are plastic, and I mean that the axle is metal that actually fits into the leg assembly, so that's not plastic, but it is a plastic caster, and it's a little bit jangly, and they're not as smooth as they could be, right? So if you're just sitting in the chair like I am, and you're on a wood floor, and you try to change directions, it kind of fights you a little bit. In fact, even if you're not sitting in it, and there's no preload on the wheels, you can't just like smoothly with one hand, easily put it into a circular pattern or something like that, because yeah, all five of these wheels are not, the casters are not going to efficiently realign themselves. So I did no lubrication of these wheels. The assembly constructions instructions did not ask for that. I think I might try to lubricate them. So that's one thing I noticed. And then with the leg assembly, it is metal, which is nice. Puts a little heft to the lowest part of the chair, which is good. But I did notice that the welding technique was a little bit haphazard and sloppy. I guess you could tell that it wasn't a robotically guided laser rig going on here to weld these metal legs together. So as a result, it was a little bit ugly. Again, it's something that a consumer probably really shouldn't care about because you're not going to look at them that way. But during assembly, you see it, and on the top there actually is a cosmetic plastic cover that's I don't know if it'll show up so well on camera, but right at the top of the center spoke of the 5 hub intersection, it is a real thin, flimsy plastic chrome coated piece that covers these welds. And yeah, it's a little bit, you're not going to mistake this chair for like a Herman Miller, high end chair or anything like that. But those are one of the things I kind of noticed.
Keith, yeah, I echo your point on that leg assembly cosmetic cover, but at the end of the day, I'm not super concerned about it because it is cosmetic versus functional. Um, I think the major components, like, to summarize some of the thoughts here, is the major components, the major elements like the seat back, the seat itself, the seating surface, the control module, and even the leg assembly itself. From a material standpoint, they're solid, right? They're rugged materials. Some of the extra components, especially like the modesty elements, maybe not as much. And I guess if I had to pick, I guess that's the trade-off I would make, right? If it's coming down to a dollar amount attached to these items, I guess I'd trade the major components being high quality and the little extras, the extra little bits, those being on the lower end if I had to pick.
Yeah, and speaking of these non-functional things like what you call the modesty or the cosmetic components, I didn't get one of these things, but on the back there's a couple of exposed bolt heads on the headrest attachment. Didn't you get a cosmetic cover for those? Did that work out okay for you?
Yeah, that's strange. I did get that piece, Keith. I don't know. Maybe you're lucky. We'll ask our contact to ship out that piece. But I accidentally broke. It didn't break completely off, but I broke one of those tabs a little bit because it's plastic, and they're the plastic tabs with the little hook on the end. So that once you put them in, they're not supposed to come back out. I must have put just a little bit too much pressure the wrong way, and it broke. So again, just another small element. I got it to put on, but who knows if those other two tabs are strong enough to keep it in place. Just the little things, right? Um, so one thing too that I noticed is on the headrest, since we're talking about that, there seems to be a lot of play. And I don't know if yours is this way, Keith, but the joints seem to move a little bit, even locked in place, and it's not hurting anything, but I did definitely notice it. Any thoughts on your end on other quality items you noticed?
Yeah, Bruce, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, so for our viewers, this piece here, there's a kinematic linkage assembly here that allows you to orient this neck headrest piece to different positions, and no matter what you pick, there's always a little bit of slop in there. I noticed that. I actually do appreciate the assembly. I'm pretty tall, so only a few of those positions actually work for me. But I appreciated that I could get there. But yes, it is a little bit loose.
So it might sound like we don't like this chair, but it's actually quite the opposite. I mean, if you watch our channel on a regular basis, you'll find that we do tend to find the little things in the engineering process and the manufacturing process, and we highlight those so that people are aware of them. But you'll find a lot of products actually have a lot of things like this, right? A lot of little detail things that at the end of the day don't necessarily make them a bad product. Just to kind of continue my thoughts on the things about this that we like. I've never owned a mesh chair before, right? I've had other chairs that all have been fabric, padded bottoms or leather padded bottoms, those types of chairs. This chair is actually really comfortable, and frankly, that's probably one of the most important things that we could highlight about the chair.
Yeah, that's right. We call it like we see it. If we find a thing, if it's small, we'll call it out. If it's big, we'll call it out. But I will agree with you. I like this chair as well. I've kind of had it on my bucket list to have one of these mesh chairs, like the Herman Miller Aero chair, for example. I've had one of those at work in the past. I like those chairs. I've never had a fabric, chair of my own, and I do like it, and it is very comfortable. I do really appreciate it. It's strong. All of the functional components are quality. It's I was a little skeptical. They said a 400-pound capacity, but yeah, I guess I'm kind of believing it now that I'm sitting in it and experiencing the quality of the seating surface and the positions that you can get and the strength of all the components. So yeah, I'm a fan. I like this.
I definitely agree, Keith. And although the chair only has 3 inches of height travel, I can actually see how those 3 inches would accommodate a taller person. I'm 6'1", and about in the middle position of the height adjustment to comfortably reach the floor. And I'm built with what I would call a bias towards my legs, right? I've been called torsoless man. So, for me, I've got a lot of long legs to work with, and I only need about half the travel to get comfortable. So, I imagine those with a longer torso will actually be in really good shape with this chair.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit taller, almost 6'2", rounded up, and I'm a little bit heavier. I find this quite comfortable. I've been playing with the height adjustment quite a bit, and I've had it all the way at its maximum, and I kind of like it at its maximum as well, to be honest. But I'm comfortable at various height positions. I think it just kind of depends on my mood and whatever table I happen to be, scooched up to.
Yeah, Keith, I find the chair, to be quite adjustable, especially for the price of $319. I mean, look at the recline. You can recline up to 145 degrees and lock it in place there.
Yeah, 145 degrees. That's napping position for me. Let's see if I can get this. I've got it locked right. Pull it out. Oh yeah. Yep. That's nappable. That's nappable.
Or I guess technically that could be movie position. I can't really imagine playing games or working recline that much, but it's nice that it can do it. Now, the chair does lack some of the armrest adjustments of my Secret Labs chair we reviewed a while ago, but I'm not sure anyone really needs that level of adjustment. So the EC20 does have height adjustments, and that's probably the main one that most people look for.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if I remember correctly, the Secret Labs chair, those chairs are a minimum of $200 more than this chair, right? Maybe even double, if depending on all the options that you get. So, if you're not into origami arms, that's not a bad choice.
So the chair is available in two colors. Now, both of us got the black, but there is also a gray that looks pretty nice as well.
Yeah, and even though there's a little bit of play in the headrest, I do appreciate the effort to make it as adjustable as it is. I think in the documentation it says up to 60 degrees. So that does make it very nice. This, I think, is a very important adjustment for all different kinds of people to get comfortable. And even the same person, like I've noticed playing around with the chair at different recline angles, I want to change that, right? And I can find a good position for it. So that's nice.
One thing too, it's really nice that the chair can accommodate someone as short as 5'5" or as tall as 6'5" in a single unit. So many manufacturers actually require you buy different models to accommodate those that are, shorter, average size, or on the larger size.
And of all the features, I think I'm really liking the lumbar support a lot. I mean, it's a separate fabric panel, and it protrudes out quite a bit. I actually like it. Feels great. It just feels absolutely great. You probably had like an adjustable lumbar support, maybe in a car. I struggle sometimes to actually find the best position. I kind of appreciate that this isn't adjustable. It just is what it is. And then the fabric tension gives as much as it needs to. And it's very comfortable. So I kind of appreciate that it's not adjustable because I would probably my mind would spin on it forever playing with it. It's like, is that too much or is this just right? I like it.
Now, a concern I also have with what I would term, mid-range products, and that is, where I think the EC20 fits in is reliability.
Yeah, I know reliability is an issue for you, Bruce, especially and everything that we review. I'm actually surprised. I mean, this is a brand new chair, so we don't expect anything to be wrong with it out of the box, and there's nothing wrong with it. But the warranty that you get is 5 years, which is a little bit surprising given that this is a 200, what is it, 260-ish dollars price point, depending on if you get it on sale or not. It's a 5-year warranty. That's pretty good. That has to give you some peace of mind.
Well, that it does, Keith. That it does. So I still consider, $300 a lot of money. So to get that kind of warranty out of the box says a lot about NearHub's confidence in their product.
Okay, well, let's get to our overall thoughts and impressions of the chair. I'll go first. I think you kind of getting the vibe already leading up to this point. I like this chair. I like it a lot, and I can keep it simple. I'm going to use it, and I appreciate it. It's great.
Keith, I think the EC20 is really a very good value. If you want a comfortable chair at a reasonable price, I think this one should definitely be on the short list, especially if your preference is for, the mesh chair over a fabric or a leather, pleather, or even, naga hide fresh off the naga.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, clearly they are believing in their product. It's got a 5-year warranty. Also, I don't think we mentioned this yet, but there is a 30-day return policy as well put in place. There is a $50 discount on Amazon right now through January 3rd. So that's good timing if you're into this for the holidays and looking for a new chair. If you use the affiliate links in the description below, it will also help our channel and cost you nothing.
You can also buy it directly from NearHub for $269 as well. So either way, it might be something that people want to take advantage of while the discount is available.
Okay, well, we've come to the part of the episode where we all realize mutually that you're still here. And if you're still here, you should be subscribing to the channel. You should at least like the video and ring the bell. This is the best way to become aware when new videos drop.
Absolutely. And turn on all notifications as well. That way we don't have to hope that the algorithm places us in your content bubble. So thanks for joining us today, and you'll see Keith and Bruce in the next episode of Dad's Talk Tech.